240 pounds a load. He'll get about 5 yards on second down.
Well, of course, the former coach over at Independence, Tom Knox, has a long history with his Houston family. The father played for Knox, that was over at Harding High School, and a brother played for Knox, and that was over, of course, at Independence. So now he's having to look at a guy on the other side that doesn't play for Independence. Right now he's looking from Duke University, where he's the quarterback coach right now.
Another good family connection between the two schools. With familiarity. To the air on third down and short. Independence, or rather, Rawls is short to his intended receiver, Xavier Wallace, and that'll bring up fourth down from the 41-yard line.
There'll be an interesting man doing the punting tonight for Butler, and you will not see a guy that weighs as much as this guy does, David Weber. He could start as an offensive defensive lineman. However, 3 knee surgeries have now relegated him to punting the football, and you won't see a kicker this size probably anywhere in high school football around the country.
From the 50-yard line, a good boot, but it's a little too far. Let's see how the bounce goes. Oh, it takes a Butler bounce. Can they save it? And they'll say touchback. So the ball will go out to the 20-yard line. A first down, but then a 3 and out. Here's the offense for the Patriots at the front line. 4 of these 5 guys back from last year. Deese, Moore, Silvius, Pierre Andrews, and Napoleon White, the new starter, with the tight end Bradley Davis. Joe Cox in the backfield with Dominique Lindsay. Muhammad Massaquoi, Billy Wiggins, and Radon Ingram are the receivers.
You know, as we were talking to the pregame show, such a bevy of receivers that Cox can look on either side of the football field. Real challenge tonight for Butler.
First down and 10 for the Patriots. Handoff right side, Dominique Lindsay into the open field across the 30, cuts it back across the 35-yard line. Big gain on first down against a defense that knows it has its hands tied with a lot of guys to cover the defense across the front with Kevin Glass. Williams, Mickno plays both ways, and Chris McGowan on the end. The secondary with Leonard Love, Jamal Wilson, Gladden, and T.J. Drakeford. The linebackers are going to have their hands full. That's Drew Adams, Brian Griffin, and John Mark Hamilton.
Good job by the blocking by the receivers on that running play by Lindsay as Massaquoi just leveled a couple of the Bulldogs.
Cox under center. He'll hand off again. Lindsay bounces left side, tripped by the 31-yard line in the backfield. Nobody hit him. And a loss of about 3 for Independence brings up second down at 13.
Kevin Glass will be one of those defensive linemen you look for as senior for Butler. He hurt himself in preseason action just getting cleared. He probably can be a D1 prospect in basketball, but right now a down defensive lineman number 84 for Butler may be in the backfield for Cox a lot tonight.
And he has plenty of options. Got Wiggins and Massaquoi split left from the shotgun. Radon Ingram split right. Of course, Lindsay out of the backfield. Pass complete over the middle into Butler territory. Down to the 45-yard line. And there is one of his big targets with Wiggins.
Billy's one of those receivers that has his full speed almost in one step. Carlton Bailey will be joining us in just a few moments. A former NFL star knows when you've got a receiver with that kind of speed, you're in for a long night if you don't get him right off the line of scrimmage. And a great catch. And lots of contact by Butler, and he showed how durable he is by hanging onto the football.
These guys catch a lot of passes over the middle, but they seem to bounce back every play. Davis in motion, handoff, Lindsay right side, big hole made, great blocks, and he's up across the 35. Sam, this is that machine, that offense that Independence features. It's very hard to stop because you can't double team anybody. You can't focus on the run. You can't key on one receiver. Even Joe Cox will get out and run for 20 yards. There's no one to key on. You've got to play man up, single coverage on everybody, and hope that every matchup is in your favor. If not, these are the kind of plays you're going to see.
It's a tough night for Steve Shaughnessy, defensive coordinator. Of course, a former head coach around the entire state, assistant head coach here at Butler, but he's being dialed in a tough chore tonight.
Head coached at Catawba College, amongst other places. Lindsay on first down will get about half of the yardage he needs across the 30. And it doesn't look like right now Independence cares whether it runs or passes. And that, of course, will keep that defense honest.
Right, we were talking about the defense of Butler. What happens so much is their safeties support the run so well is they're starting to creep to the line of scrimmage. What does that do? It sets it up now for Joe Cox to hit somebody wide or even somebody straight up the football field.
It's a setup. Second down and a long 5 for the Patriots. Movement up front on the left side. The Independence will march back 5 on 2nd down.
False start on the offense, 5-yard penalty, repeat, 2nd down.
Just actually trying to get a little base under him, but once he had gone down to the 3-point stance, not allowed to do so. That's one of the things that both coaches said. If it is a tight game, many do not think it will be on the Independence side. Butler hopes so. Is that they don't want to make mistakes penalty-wise that will cost them in certain situations. Independence with a good drive, you don't want to be going backwards at any time with this offense.
If it is close, Butler has always had one good thing, good kicking game. They have hit 50-plus yard field goals in practice regularly. If it gets close, you might want to give the edge in the kicking game to the Bulldogs. But if it's not close, it's because of plays like this. A touchdown outside to Muhammad Masqua, and Independence is on the board early.
All set up by the running game of Lindsey with a handoff from Cox. Receivers blocking on the corners, and this time he just ran a post pattern up the left side. Cox was really not looking for much else. He was looking on that side of the field all the way. He also had the underman cover was Billy Wiggins, but he aired it out. And a great catch behind the defenders, as these receivers are apt to do. And an easy 6 for Independence on their first drive.
One big drive, and it went 80 yards in just a couple of minutes. Extra point, Brad Barnhouse. Spot, the kick is up. And just like that, it's 7-0. Independence shows no worse for the wear. First drive, 1 touchdown. The Patriots continue to roll. But Butler is really no different from anyone else. They face the same offense. 7-0 Patriots. We're coming back in a moment.
Successful.
Independence on top 7-0. Mike Newsom with his hands full, trying to coach his guys up. You're only down a touchdown. If you get that feeling of here we go again, you're already beaten. But if you shore it up and say, okay, we gave you that one, we got to get it back. That's the task, is keeping the game in small increments for the Butler side. Don't let them look at the big picture. Keep the game focused on the next play. And Coach Newsom said we cannot give them a big lead because they play from a lead as good as any team.
Well, you saw Butler in that first series, Ryan, and the fact that they were running it with Houston, but broke it out with an open pass. Could be a little wide open here is what they're going to need.
Barnhouse with the chippy, taken around the 15-yard line by the Bulldogs, and a quick tackle at the 25, and a late flag flies in. The kick taken by Butler's number 9, James Pano, one of the few guys left over from Butler's very successful team in 2000, their first playoff team that ended its run at Richmond. And we have a face mask against the Patriots, so this will help the starting field position of the Bulldogs.
You made mention of Rawls being a transfer from Independence. So is Joe Pano.
5-yard face mask on the kicking team, but if you put on the end of the run, first down.
Pano has not been quite as vocal as Rawls has been about this matchup today, has he?
Not quite, and you never want to give a team like Independence any bulletin board material if you can help it, but they have. First down and 10. Hand off Houston up the middle. Nice gaping hole, and he'll get up close to the 40-yard line. On first down, when you can get 9 or 10 yards, that's carrying the mail. Remember, kids, this is a sophomore.
One of the nice things about Houston is the fact that he may not be the fastest guy on the football field carrying the ball, but watch his feet once he clears the line of scrimmage. Watch as he looks one way, goes back the other way. Good run here by a fine sophomore. We're going to see a lot of him around this state for 3 more years.
He doesn't quit on first contact. He tried 3 guys, 3 more yards. 2 receivers right, 1 split left, the tight end back in formation. Now double tight ends. The handoff Houston. Almost through the first gap quickly, but he still drags the pile for about 5. And as good as Independence is up front, when 240 pounds has 6 yards of running speed to get to you, it's going to be hard to bring him down.
One of the attributes of Butler is the fact that, as you made mention, they bring a lot of players back, and a lot of those on that offensive line. So their scheme and technique right now very polished at the moment.
And they work very well together. Rolls under center. Houston again. Big hit, but watch him drag him forward.
Wow.
He was hit at the 45, but managed to fall to the 49-yard line, 3rd down and a yard. If this guy doesn't get 40 carries today, I'll be very surprised. And it all depends on how long they can keep the ball and how much of a lead Independence gets on. Quick snap on third down. Houston leaps for the first down and into Independence territory. Look at him drag the pile down to the 45. This is ridiculous.
I tell you what, he's a guy that does another thing well, Ryan, and looking back at the stats of the last 2 games, has not fumbled the football. And when he gets this much contact, and look how he just muscles his way ahead. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think a 6th Patriot got in to finally bring him down.
Goodness gracious. Another run on first down for Houston. He'll drag the pile for about 3 yards. He also receives okay. 3 catches, 32 yards this season out of the backfield. So Houston does it through the air and on the ground, and Rawls will go to the air. Quick pass complete out in the flats at the 39-yard line. And complete over to Travis Neesmith, listed as a slot receiver.
Neesmith missed last week's game with a bad ankle, so he's very anxious to play tonight in his first catch.
So third down and about 4, a little misdirection, handoff out of the backfield. Nate Williams, flag flies in late. We'll see if this affects the drive or not. Defense gets ready, the offensive line gets ready for Independence on the sidelines. This will be holding. If the Patriots wave it off, then it'll be short of the first down, but if the Patriots take it, they'll get third down again. It looks like McAlilly, the linebacker, says push him back.
You know, it's interesting to watch the run a moment ago by Williams. He ripped off a 55-yarder last week against Vance. That little misdirection.
Holding on the offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Big penalty there, and if Butler had any thoughts of field goal, it would have been about 55 yards. Now they've got to get at least to the 40 to have a shot at it, but they're looking at the 35-yard line right now on third down and 15. Ball's under center. Neesmith on the right. Pano on the left. And flags, and I believe they've used up too much clock. Delay of game.
Delay of game on the offense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Best thing you wanted to do when you just got a holding call to back yourself up even more. And his secondary for Independence, of course, is another secondary that's done a nice job for them as well. Good coverage, man for man. They dropped into a cover 2 a moment ago. Let's see if they stay in that.
That's where they're the youngest, or the least experienced, I should say. Only Daniel Cook returns in the starting lineup from last year. Pass incomplete, and a flag flies in late. This one looks like it might be pass interference from about the only guy I was about to brag on, Daniel Cook, the only returning player from the secondary that started last year. Also an outfielder on Independence's baseball team that got to the state championship series but fell in the 3-game series. So he has a lot of state title experience. That Daniel Cook and his
pass interference on the defense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
Automatic first down. Is you take a look at Cook here, comes in a little too early. The fastest man on the team.
Again, you can see that up over the top and over the back. They had a good slot on the inside. Wasn't going to get enough room. And they gave Butler a big gift right there.
Yep, would not have been a first down. So they give it back to Houston. Look at this guy. Bowls through the line, but he drops the ball. The ball's on the turf, and it looks like the Patriots have it. He had it swiped as he hurled a man, and I'm sure we'll see it looking back at it. And no, they say Butler has it. I don't know how Butler came up with it underneath, but apparently number 65 came up with it. That's Kevin Wiggins. Take a look at it.
And again, watch as he tries to hang onto the ball with 2 hands. When he makes his cutback right here with that spin, all of a sudden you can see that somebody's arm just swacks in there and knocks it out of the way, and knocks it away from him, and getting it in is going to be the linebacker. McAlilly got the hand on it, knocked it away. First fumble of the year for Houston.
But Butler got it back, so nobody hurt. A 5-yard gain. He would have had 3 more had he kept the ball when he fell forward. Option, pitch back, and this one's on the turf, and Houston has to eat it, but he doesn't quite get there, and the Patriots come up with it. He slid right past the bag at second, would have gotten tagged down on the field. Comes up with it. Courtney Cord last year 99, but this year it's Daryl Smith. Courtney Cord led the team in tackles and was one of the best defensive linemen on the squad, playing at North Carolina A&T. And of course his number was a hot property. Daryl got it.
This was a couple of series here. First of all, for Butler and for Independence's way. You take it, no, I'll take it, and I'll give it back to you. That's what makes coaches have a long, long night. And then right now it's Mike Newsom, knowing Independence is ready, getting a turnover and looking for another score.
You'd see gray hairs if he didn't shave his head. First down and 10 for the Patriots. Davis in motion, and Cox rolls to his right to throw on first down. Looking for a chunk of yardage. This one skipped off the turf. Intended for Massaquoi.
Cox was a little indecisive, Brian, in the fact he, of course, had Massaquoi as his #1 receiver. Then he kind of looked him off and was going to Billy Wiggins, and he kind of threw it in between those two, and then finally came up a little short arm to Wiggins.
Therein lies the problem of too many good receivers. There's Coach Geiler talking with linebacker Chris McAlilly. He pretty much leaves Coach Strong to run the offense. These guys have been working together for 20-plus years. They kept moving with Coach Knotts, and one condition that they all stayed was that Geiler take the job. Hand off, Lindsey again. Rolls over 3 guys and is going to have a first down. We talk so much about Houston, but Dominique Lindsey is a huge part of this Independence offense as well.
He's a totally different back in the fact he can bump it outside there. You saw the great blocking up front, number 74, Pierre Andrews, 6'3" and 270, leading the way, coming from that right tackle spot. And they just run that little slant. You can see how well the offense had neutralized Butler at the line of scrimmage. Also blocking out of the corner, Wiggins, one of the wide receivers. They do a great job of blocking with the wide receivers outside. They really have been well schooled.
One thing they do extremely well, and good teams, when you have big gains, you got to have some blocking. Cox flushed out of the pocket, looks to run it. He will, and will get positive yards. Knocked out of bounds inside the 40, close to the 38-yard line. And a play that could have gone for an 8-yard loss goes for about a 4-yard gain.
John Mark Hamilton made that stop along the sideline. Cox is one of those players. Saw him play a lot last year. First time seeing him this year. Afraid to take that contact. He had a chance to step out about 5 yards back, where he finally stepped out of bounds and got that big hit from Hamilton.
And he bounces up quickly after each play. A guy that the rest of the team rallies around. He's a fiery redhead. He loves contact. But more importantly, he loves throwing the touch pass into the corner of the end zone. Cox almost sacked, gets it out of the backfield to Lindsey, who is his hot receiver, slips out of that tackle and may wiggle his way for a first down close to the 31-yard line. Another play that looked like Butler had it read right, but these Patriots seem to have a nose for the first down marker. There's Lindsey. Finally is going to graduate, much to the chagrin of Geiler, but much to the liking of the rest of Charlotte.
You know, Joe Cox probably has a lot of names by the teams that he plays against. Some of them we can't repeat on the air. Houdini would be a good act right here. As a fact to look at, he's looking upfield all the way, then all of a sudden comes from the outside and dumps it off. And a good catch by Lindsey, or that could be for naught.
He caught it at the 45, but found his way to the 31 and a first down. Hand off Lindsey, open field up the middle. He'll have a first down. Taken down at the 17-yard line. Several guys in the area. Edward Whitley there to make the tackle for Butler. But, man, what a huge hole the offensive line opened up. Could have drove a truck through the front of that line.
You know, that's interesting to watch him blocking so well up the middle there, because Jarrett Oliver is out with a upper back injury. He got injured last week, the starting center. Brandon Silvius has stepped in at the center. He, along with Pierre Andrews, and also number 77, Brandon Moore, really blocking well at the point of attack.
Amazing up front. And these guys have played together for so long that they know each other's tendencies. This one intercepted, picked off by Jamal Wilson. He heads to the middle of the field and is tackled there by Joe Cox, who threw the pick, and Butler gets a reprieve.
One of the few mistakes you'll see Joe Cox make that time. He actually looked off the receiver down the middle and went to the sideline. And I'm not sure that somebody didn't run a different route than he was expected to be run.
Huge play for Wilson in the red zone, picking off that pass from Cox.
Let's take a look. He is looking to the sideline all the way, quickly throws. And again, you can see no receivers in the picture. Somebody had run a route that Joe Cox was not expecting to run, or had been detained inside maybe by one of the linebackers.
So first down, and Butler gets it back. And here's the guy that's going to carry the mail, Houston. Everyone gets a lick in as he falls forward across the 35-yard line to the 36. Pickup of about 4. It'll be 2nd down and 6.
Ryan Butler wanted this to be the tackle-to-tackle train tonight with Houston as the caboose behind that big front line, and so far he's done a great job up the middle. Only dropped the ball at one time, and of course that bad pitch he couldn't hang on to earlier.
Fans still filing in here, getting scanned on their way into Memorial Stadium. 7-0 Independence. Out of the backfield, this is Culacerto, the backup quarterback, taking it to the right side, and that'll be the final play of quarter number 1. Both teams will move about, 16 yards or so across midfield, and Butler will try to answer the bell and tie this game back up. And we'll find out if the Bulldogs have enough to get into the end zone after the break. First quarter in the books. Independence over Butler, 7-0 so far. 7-0 Independence as Butler gets set to answer the call here. We begin the second quarter of play. Ryan Rose and Sam Smith from Memorial Stadium. Sam, it's not out of reach for the Bulldogs with that interception. They've got to feel like they can stick around and hang out in this game and perhaps get the points needed to come away with the win. This won't be a 60-60 type game as the defenses look like they're answering the call early.
Culacerto, of course, a player that has a little bit more running skills, so to speak, rather than Rawls, and he can throw the ball, but Houston really nailed his. Yep, that one outside. A little different wrinkle for them rather than the handoff.
Pass out of the flats, but tackled quickly by Brandon Autry, so that'll be 4th down. And just as I talk about Butler looking for its chances, they give one away here. Snuffed out well by the corner.
Another look at it again, just a little swing quickly. You can see the blocks never were materialized. The players for Butler had not reached the people who were trying to block real quickly.
Punt is away, bounces at the 45 and stays there. Basically will be down at the 46-yard line. Great starting field position for Independence. 3 and out for the Bulldogs after the interception. So Independence just moves it back a field and will start there. The Bulldogs, you can see when they bring in Culacerto, they're trying for anything that will work besides Houston. They're trying to get some sort of passing game started so that Houston doesn't have to carry it 74 times this ball.
I'd look for Independence certainly to throw the ball 3 out of 4 times, but I think with Lindsey's running success, that's going to be one of those quick hitters that possibly could catch Butler back on their heels.
Tight end right side, and
Like that.
somebody's lined up offsides, it appears.
The Bulldogs will be at home next Friday night to take on North Mecklenburg. Butler at home next Friday night.
Independence already has 116 total yards. Butler just 65 yards, although they've had 7
Offside on the
plays.
defense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
And 5 more free yards for the Patriots. The 3rd Butler penalty of the afternoon. 20 yards in penalties so far. Let's take a look at Independence's next 5 games. They are at Providence, and then they'll start conference play, Mecca 8 conference play against West Meck on the 24th. We'll be here at Memorial Stadium on October 1st as they take on West Charlotte. Didn't go too hardy, and then we'll catch them at home against North Meck. That's on the 15th. Pass to Davis, incomplete on 1st down and 5. So, Sam, it looks like with the West Charlotte rivalry kind of falling by the wayside, that this is the toughest opponent that Independence should face until North Meck, all the way in the middle of October. So if you can't get Independence knocked off early, there's no, they could roll it up nicely against some of these other teams in Charlotte.
64, 65, 66.
It's how high can you count? I've run out of fingers once they got to 20, but that was years ago. And they may get to 70 at North Meck. We may see 70 towards the end of the year, actually. Here's Lindsey around the right side in the open field at 1st down across the 40. Still gets down to the 35-yard line. He bounced off of right tackle and took it to almost was able to take it the distance. Tackle made by Bryant Griffin, the linebacker, but not before Lindsey could get a huge gain, 14 yards and a 1st down.
Well, just one play later than what I expected. A handoff to Lindsey. Again, they tried to hit the quick open over the middle to their tight end, Bradley Davis, on the last play. But Lindsey, once he gets in the open field, really kind of waiting for the blocking to materialize. You folks just standing around, they'll see that on the tape when they go to the tape room after this game is over. Good 1st down for Independence, though.
No doubt. They'll be watching a lot of that Monday. Handoff. Lindsey bounces it left side. There is no Butler Bulldog within 5 yards of him once he gets to the line of scrimmage, and another 1st down. And that is set up well by the fact that Cox can throw it anywhere he wants to. You've got to play this team honest. And they have so many weapons that Lindsey is often the forgotten offensive weapon.
Independence seals that offensive line so well. As you pointed out, not a man available for Butler until they get into the secondary. But again, the offensive line, actually the right guard had pulled. He was blocking the outside, and they sealed it to the inside. Lindsey had nothing to do to just run to the open.
Not often you see numbers of 70s and 60s, 5 yards deep and blocking ahead, but that's what they get there. Lindsey through the middle. Now a good wide receiver block, maybe a hold. Goes to the end zone for a touchdown. Penalty flag at the 10-yard line. The only guy for Independence, I believe, was Wiggins blocking out there, and it is a hold. The downside of being aggressive as a blocking wide receiver is when you're in open field, it's easy to catch you if you do something illegal because there's nowhere to hide.
It's kind of an empty space out there with you and somebody else, and that's about it.
We'll get the official word.
Holding on the offense. 10-yard penalty for the Spider foul. Still first down.
I'm sure we'll see a replay on that, but the left guard that time was Andrews again, just pulled right out of the left guard spot, which created the misdirection for Butler, and right in off that same hole. See him pulling? Right that same hole that he was blocking in. He went right up the middle with Lindsey. And again, that's the beauty of that front line with great size, good quickness of Independence opening those kind of holes.
And there was Massaquoi, number 6, with a fistful of Butler jersey to cause the penalty, but still a good gain. Lindsey out of the backfield. 2 guys dive and miss, and Lindsey will get up across the 15-yard line, close to another first down. You see guys diving and missing all around. Lindsey just lays a wake of Bulldogs in his path. You know where he's been because there's a lot of white jerseys on the ground.
Cameron Hennigan along with Lindsey kind of alternating at that running back spot. And I guess with Lindsey running so much, you're going to have some help tonight. Kind of a muggy evening here, but a pleasant one at Memorial Stadium tonight.
Should be getting down in the high 60s will be very pleasant. And Lindsey back out there again after Hennigan spells him for a play. 2nd down and a yard from the 14. Cox to throw. He'll look over the middle. Pass incomplete. Again, bounces off the turf looking for Massaquoi, number 6, but he fielded it on the hop, and it will be incomplete. 3rd down and a yard.
Massaquoi, one of those receivers, said, you know, I wish my fingers were about 3 more inches long. I'd have that. I'd have it every time. Again, an excellent throw by Cox because the only place that it can be caught is with his receiver to the inside, the way he's breaking. And again, he just couldn't come up with it.
So it'll be 3rd down and short. And usually with a team that passes very well, they have problems in the red zone because the field's so short. But we've seen tonight Independence has got such a balanced attack. It doesn't seem to phase the Patriots. Lindsey on the handoff. 1st down to the 10, to the 5. Reaches, and I believe he's short. He'll be down at the 1-yard line. A couple of tacklers on the play for the Bulldogs. Love and Kevin Glass, the defensive lineman. It'll be 1st and goal from the 1 now.
You know, Ryan, this looks so easy for Independence. This is almost like a walk in the park for Lindsey. Look at him. He's kind of guarding left. He goes back right. Oh, there's a hole. I believe I'll take it right there. So it's a rather easy affair for Independence right now. Butler has got to shore up the defensive line. They've got to win the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a long night for them.
They're getting blown off the blocks, giving Lindsey lots of open space to pick through. Cox hands off. Lindsey takes 2 steps, strides, pushes the pile, and he's down at the 1-foot line. The offensive line didn't get quite the push there. Patriot fans, if you're a student at Independence High School right now, you've never seen a loss for the varsity team. You're just not used to it. I don't know what they would do if they lost now. None of these students have seen one.
It was 2 generations out at De La Salle High School in Concord, California. Can you imagine winning 151 consecutive games?
51 games. I know one thing. I wouldn't schedule that team if I was an opposing coach.
Not at all.
That's why they have to leave the state to find games. Cox dives, and he'll get the touchdown. So Cox through the air, and Cox on the ground. 2nd touchdown for the Patriots today. And it's 13-0 with an extra point from Barnhouse to come.
Yeah, this is great to see Cox doing so well. Certainly the Butler fans didn't want it, but Cox, of course, backed up Chris Leach. He struggled the first part of last year, if you can believe that. Finally came on a throw for nearly 4,000 yards. And again, it's great to see him playing good football again here for Independence.
He had to play with a lot of pressure. People are always asking him, how can you follow in the footsteps of such a great quarterback? Well, he broke Leach's state championship record with 5 touchdown passes last year, so he answered the bell there. This extra point blocked. The spot took a while from Radon Ingram. Butler blocks it. And now Coach Newsom hopes that that blocked extra point will come into play later, but the Bulldogs will have to score first. Down 13-0. Kickoff coming up in just a moment. Joe Cox makes the dive from a yard out to get Independence his first rushing touchdown to the game. However, Jamal Wilson was not accounted for and got across and in the way of Barnhouse's leg for the blocked extra point. And that's where we stand now, 13-0. Cox, so far on the day, 3 of 7, 61 yards and a touchdown, but also has a pick. Independence has outgained Butler on the day almost 3-1, 175 yards to just 65 yards for the Bulldogs. 9-yard per play average for Independence, and this is nothing new for them.
Field position for Butler here, Ryan, would be a key element with a run back or maybe a poor kick here by Barnhouse, but he's not going to do that. He kicks it well.
Taken by James Pano back at the 5-yard line. He darts to the outside. It's a few yards, and the ball hits the turf again, and let's see if the Patriots can come up with this one. As they pull players off the pile. It is Butler football, but Pano's not the guy that came out of the pile with it. It was his other backer to receive, number 2. That's Xavier Wallace. Let's take a look at Butler's next 5 games. They go to North Mecca, a good test next week, and then versus Providence. We'll have that game for you here on Time Warner Sports. That kicks off the Southwestern Conference, and then Olympic, South Mecca, and Garinger. Olympic maybe, but South Mecca and Garinger, I don't know. Butler's a pretty talented team. Butler has to worry about these next 2 weeks and then can start to build momentum towards the playoffs. They have made the playoffs for 4 consecutive years, and they've only been open 7 years as a school. And Newsom has been there the entire time, though this is only his 2nd year as head coach. As a first down play for the Butler Bulldogs will net about 7 yards. So Butler really looked at this game as the best non-conference test they have, although North Meck will shape up to be a good one next week as well. They need to get a little confidence because their first test in conference is Providence, a team that got deep in the playoffs last year. They're trying to use this, A, as a measuring stick, and B, to see if they can get over the hump and beat this team finally. Houston spins off a tackle, but then falls forward. He may get a yard. The ball came out late, but he was ruled down. Whittle makes the tackle. Defensive lineman for the Patriots, number 70, Anthony Whipple.
You look at that 4-3 defense of Independence, suddenly becomes like an 8-man front. As they not only slide both corners up on the line of scrimmage, bring a couple of linebackers up in there because, as Coach Geller indicated, they were going to come probably 3 out of 4 plays. And certainly in a 3rd down play, you can expect them to do it again.
Look for a huge rush here. 3rd down and about 4. Misdirection on the handoff. They'll go left side. This is Wallace, and he won't get it. And the ball's on the turf again. Independence picks it up. This is Chris McAlilly. Balls through 2 guys, and he's into the end zone. You can't let the quarterback tackle you if you're a linebacker. And he says 6 points for us.
That's interesting because Independence, all the offense was not done by the offensive team. They scored twice last week themselves in that win over East Meck, 69-6, and they get one here tonight.
The senior signal caller for the defense, the middle linebacker, Chris McAlilly, the guy who Coach Geiler was talking up on the sidelines a few minutes ago, makes the big play, and the Patriots begin to roll. Barnhouse for the extra point. They've missed 1 already. It was blocked. This to make it 20-0, and that is a disheartening play for the Bulldogs. The kick is up, and it's good. 20 for the Patriots. They're eyeing the number 64, which is how many wins they'd have in a row if they come out with a victory this week. Butler to get the ball back. After this big fumble, the offense gets it right back when we come back.
Remember Saturdays watching Quick Draw, Yogi, and Snagglepuss, wishing they were on all the time? Presenting Boomerang, a new channel dedicated to 24 hours of classic cartoons. So grab a big bowl of cereal, the sugary kind your mom wouldn't buy you, and enjoy Boomerang. It's all coming back to you.
Boomerang is now available on Time Warner Digital Cable Channel 190.
Nothing sounds better than pizza and Pepsi. It's the Cola.
Let's take a look at this last play, Sam, as Butler ends up without the football.
Yeah, it's McLean, the cornerback, coming up and just knocks the ball loose. And McAlilly, one of the other linebackers, just picks it up. And you don't see him here, but neither did Butler, as they saw him running into the end zone for an easy 6 points here by Independence.
Filicerto made one last dive at him, but McAlilly will not be taken down by a quarterback. He'd have to live with that all weekend with his teammates, giving him some ribbing about that.
That's an unwritten law somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't let the quarterback tackle.
Yeah.
If you're a linebacker and you got the ball. Those guys touch the ball maybe twice a season. You've got to score when you get your chance.
That's right. And he tells quarterbacks to get the heck out of the way.
Get out of my way. Barnhouse to kick it off. He keeps it down the middle and keeps it low. Pano will take it to the left side. Up close to the 30-yard line. Head hunting, but they're putting hats on the football. They've forced 3 fumbles here already in this ball game. And Butler not only has to worry about the scoreboard, but they have to worry about hanging on to the ball.
You know, there's 3 elements of football everybody knows, the offense and the defense, but the special team suddenly becomes kind of the forgotten animal in high school, college, or whatever division you play. But the special teams at Independence High School has been so well coached. They cover well in their lanes. They do a great job with all the kicking situations.
Will not let you score on their defense, and their special teams takes pride as well. Houston in the backfield, but it looks like we'll get a lot of passing here. Overthrown over the middle, intended for Travis Neesmith. And of course, that is Kelly Rawls back in there at quarterback for the Bulldogs. Neither quarterback has had a lot of success. 2 of 4 for a grand total of 0 yards. A couple behind the line of scrimmage were snuffed out.
Defensive line for Independence averages roughly about 242 pounds. Offensively for Independence, about 40. So they were just hoping to have some kind of a standoff, but so far it's been all Independence.
And miscues on offense for the Bulldogs. Rawls pitches back to Houston. Got a block on the outside, runs the tightrope and gets up close to the 35-yard line. Knocked out of bounds, they say, now at the 33. So 4-yard gain, and they'll need 6 more on 3rd down. Otherwise, the Bulldogs will be out there to punt again.
You always talk about the multiple offenses trying to get in different sets. And what Butler does, it's just the same down linemen coming hard, the linebackers and the corners, as they just stay in the lanes, rush straight ahead, and they just force you to go wider than you want to.
Spend all of your time running downhill to the outside, and by the time you get there, there are the yellow hats.
East-west is not good. North-south is much better.
Ball's back under center. Houston in the backfield. In motion. Notice time ran out on the Bulldogs, so this will be a delay of game.
Second one that has cost them, Ryan, in a rather crucial situation. You recall they had one back in that first quarter when their drive was not totally given up for ghosts, and it took a big one out of that. They were looking at maybe a 3rd down and 8-9, and all of a sudden you're back there in a 3rd down and much longer situation.
Penalties pushed them all the way back across midfield on that drive that you're speaking of, and you just can't give cheapies away in a game of this magnitude. So 3rd down and 6 becomes 3rd and 11. Rawls will let her fly out the right side, almost intercepted. Intended for Jamal Wilson, who made the interception earlier. But the touch pass was a little high and outside, so Butler once again will have to punt it away with
Jamal Wilson.
David Weber. The Patriots cheerleaders, lots to cheer about. The students, so there was a group of students that did push up for a touchdown last year.
Oh my.
You want to talk about some of the guys that had the biggest biceps and chests at the end of that season. Independence scores a lot of points. Wiggins takes the punt at the 40, dances around and gets about 4 yards. Tackled quickly by Bryant Griffin, so the Patriots will start again in great field position at the 44-yard line. And I think this year they decided they weren't going to do that push-up stuff because they ran out of arms by the end of the season. Here's the MECA 8 conference standings as they stand now. North Mech, Harding, West Mech, Independence, all without a loss. Vance, Hopewell, West Charlotte, and Central Cabarrus without a win. Just draw a line right down the middle of that conference. The only reason Independence is in the middle of the pack is because they haven't played enough games, but you can see only had 6 points scored against them in week 1. Handoff on first down to Lindsay. The ball hits the turf again. It's not that humid, but the balls are hitting the turf with regularity tonight.
That was Lindsay trying to create a little more than he really had that time. Got 2 spin moves in there. And on the second one, just left the ball behind after getting a shot.
Fell right back on it. And a gain of about 6 on first down. That'll open up the playbook. 2nd down and 4 now.
By the way, Ryan, they are changing football on every snap, so we're just trying to keep it a little dry.
Well, earlier in the week when the remnants of Hurricane XYZ, whichever it was, the second one that came through on Labor Day weekend, dumped a ton of rain. A lot of fields underwater in the mountains. They can't even play football in some stadiums. Cox on 2nd down, gets it to Davis, the tight end, and he drags guys down inside the 10. It's a different receiver every time with this crew.
Independence had set that up. You may recall we went to that earlier in the game. It was overthrown, but Davis probably came back to the line of scrimmage. Their offensive people said, hey, that's going to be open. Boom, they come back to it, and was he ever. He not only split the 2 safeties, but one of the corners was back there trying to catch him as well. And look at the time Cox has to throw the ball. Offensive line not doing anything, but just doing their job. And a good throw and a great run after Davis catches onto it. A little off balance, but look at the strength of his tight end as he carries the Bulldogs downfield.
He's got such great hands, an excellent blocker. Cox on the handoff to Lindsay, right side, through the gap, drives his opponent down inside the 3. They'll put him down at the 1-yard line. Tackle on the play by Drew Adams, the linebacker. But even your tight end catches passes for 30-plus yards. I mean, this offense is so well schooled. They do not have a weak point. If you can't get to the quarterback, then you have to worry about those 4 and 5 wide receivers. You're right. Cox could pitch a tent back there.
Absolutely.
He had no pressure whatsoever.
Even ordered a pizza at one time.
2nd and goal. Give it to Lindsay, and he scoots across for the touchdown. Independence already has 26 points, but a flag down on the line of scrimmage. Just 4 minutes left to go in quarter number 2, and we'll see if the Patriots will get to kick an extra
False
point.
start on the offense, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
Or not. They'll push it back to about the 6.
That's the 2nd touchdown. Lindsay's had called back the hold on Massaquoi earlier, and now the penalty here. By the way, just noticed that coming off the field was Pierre Andrews, number 78. Looks like he got a stinger on that right shoulder. He's being looked at on that Independent side. That's a big loss on their front line.
It is a big loss, figuratively and literally. 2nd down and goal now from the 6. It's one thing with teams that are successful, particularly football teams, when you get to playoffs, it's usually because the offensive line hasn't suffered major injuries. And it looks like Willie Simmons is in there on the offensive line. And I believe we have a timeout. Timeout Butler with 4:01 left in the 2nd quarter. The Bulldogs want to talk things over, try to stop the bleeding here, down 20-0. And we'll take a look. We'll take a look at the Southwestern Conference standings again. With rather, for the first time, there's Butler across the top row, the only undefeated team in the league, but good non-conference schedule for them. East Mech and Waddell, Olympic and Myers Park, all with 1 loss. And there you see South Mech, Garinger. Providence is a huge surprise, 0-2, after leading at Richmond County into the 2nd half and not being able to get the job done last week. The Panthers will face Butler in the conference opener in 2 weeks. But 94 points against 26, Butler is certainly not used to. If that touchdown had counted, would have equaled their points given up in 2 games this year. And look at East Mech, 3-1, a ton of points scored by the Eagles, who preseason no one gave them a chance with coaching changes, guys moving around positions, graduating their skill players. It's wide open in this conference.
And you made mention Providence with the first 5 games, just a killer schedule right at the bottom of that league.
Oh, that's all you can say about that schedule. Bruce Hardin left them a tough one. Pass to the corner, caught, touchdown. Muhammad Massaquoi, his second of the day.
Massaquoi is one of those receivers that has the presence of mind to know exactly where he is. And the touch pass thrown by Cox was absolutely perfect. Massaquoi had his secondary person back there were totally beat, but watch the way he gets his feet down after this little pass over the top. And look at the air under that one. It just overthrows. Massaquoi gets the feet down. Another score for Independence. And that's the timing that you have to work on. Systems working it into Independence.
So good with the touch passes. He lays it right in there. He plays like a third-year college quarterback. He and Massaquoi are, as the extra point goes through, 27-0 verbal commitments to Georgia. The Bulldogs have a lot to look forward to in the SEC with two guys like that. They'll be freshmen. There's no telling. The sky's the limit, and it depends on how they use them down there. 27-0. The Patriots are on a roll in Memorial Stadium. We're back for more. The Butler Bulldogs have a little less than 4 minutes left to get a score.
Nothing sounds better than pizza and Pepsi. It's the Cola.
Saturday, they booked college football and the big fights. So me being the inventive man that I am, grabbed the TV out of the bedroom, stacked it on top of the TV in the living room, go back, get the cable box, got the cable box, got the cord, and I didn't have it hooked in right. 2 remotes, 2 TVs, football game, boxing. And the dog's looking at me like I'm crazy.
The new DVR from Time Warner Cable. Watch 2 shows at the same time with picture-in-picture. Now, anything's possible.
Y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Get the new DVR for as little as $6.95 a month. Call Time Warner Cable today.
Different verse, same as the first. 27-0 for the Patriots.
I'm a couple of lines that I think I know that song. If you go to Independence games, you do.
Oh, yeah.
63 straight wins. I'm not.
Quarterback changes, coaching changes. 4-year graduation cycle has gone through. That's the amazing thing at the high school level. It's not like the pros where you can keep a lot of your guys around. Same thing with De La Salle. 2 complete graduation cycles. Flags fly here on the kickoff as it appears Independence was offsides.
Barnhouse got a pretty good leg. That one hit about a yard outside the goal line and skipped in. Nice kickoff. And again, he gets a lot of practice on the kickoff and PATs.
So they'll push it back 5. Patriots give Butler an extra 5 on this possession coming up here, depending on the kick.
Butler has not had real good field position almost throughout the entire night. As we pointed out, they got near the 50, got pushed back by a penalty, but it's been about it tonight as Independence defense and mistakes by Butler really cost them so far, down 20-zip.
Even after the
interception,
even after the interception, they started at their own 32.
Right.
So nothing comes easy when you play the Big I. As I mentioned, we thought this would be Independence's toughest test of the regular season. If that holds true, look out. This kickoff skips and is taken and will be down at the 24-yard line. Thanks to the knee down by Leonard Love, number 3, the up man. That's just the kind of bad breaks that Butler's been getting tonight.
Had some pretty good running room up that far sideline as well with that short kick. But again, they'll get it at the 25 here, Ryan. So a lot of distance to cover in 3 minutes and 54 seconds against this Independence defense that now will not, they don't change. I mean, they don't necessarily go from down to down as far as possession to possession. They just play the same thing. If you're going to throw it at them, they're going to be ready.
They'll leave the starters in. Still the first half. This one goes to Houston. Cut down in the backfield quickly by Daryl Smith, the defensive lineman. Got through and cut the legs out from under Houston.
You know, Daryl's just a sophomore, 5'10", 200-pounder, and they say that he could be one of the best once he learns the game. Well, he's learning in a hurry. 2 sacks last week against East Mac and a good tackle here, and he's almost in the open field for Houston.
2nd and 12. Houston 5 yards deep in the backfield with Rawls under center. And he'll look to pass. Pressure comes. He lets it fly. Up the field. Tipped and incomplete. Almost intercepted by Brendan Autry. He got a hand on it.
That could have been Autry's 3rd interception of the season. He got 2 last week against East Meck. The senior 5'10", 170 pounds, and again kind of anchors that deep safety here for Independence.
He's got hops. Tipped it incomplete, looking for Xavier Wallace. Who was also almost able to bring it down. Delay handoff to Houston. Nothing doing there. Swallowed up at the 21-yard line. Another 2-yard loss. This tackle surprisingly made by Bradley Davis, who plays tight end. He was on the defensive line on that play. Guys everywhere. And there's one of the other defensive linemen, Brandon Moore. He's playing, or rather number 70. That's Anthony Whipple. Those are some mountains you have to move up front when you're playing the guys in green and gold.
And mountains that move very well, too, which is really scary.
Fair catch called for at the 48-yard line. Billy Wiggins. Wow. It's not Halloween yet, is it? But when you win games like 69-6, you've got to try to amuse yourself any way you can.
There's some strange looking outfits going on tonight.
Bizarre. Two and a half minutes left in the first half. The Patriots have 51 yards between them and a lead of over 30 points. Cox from the shotgun. Fake to Lindsey. Pass out of the flat right side. Redon Ingram cuts it back across the 40 into Butler territory. Ball pops out. I don't know if they'll count that as a fumble, but I saw a beanbag come down, so we'll see if Butler can grab it. Nope. Independence has it. Ingram swallowed it back up. So a first down at the 39-yard line.
You know, there's 8 touchdowns thrown by Cox last week for him to Massaquoi. Then, of course, on the other side of the coin, when they got some other passes going on, Wiggins and Ingram getting a couple. So, as you pointed out, they also threw to some other people. Bradley Davis, the tight end, as he's already been hit twice here tonight. Nobody's a favorite of Joe Cox. He takes them all to dinner.
And you can't, for that reason, you can't double team anybody. You can't focus on them because he doesn't focus on one guy. It's one of the best stops of the night for Butler as Lindsey gets held up at the line and garners about a half yard. One of the tacklers on the play, Chris Mickno, number 66, he's playing both ways.
And the first man to hit him is Drew Adams. He's one of the linebackers. There's the shot that he got right there, number 10. He switched from the offensive line. He is the fastest of their linebackers. He's like one of those 4 or 5 guys from a linebacker spot. And as a matter of fact, will also go on the corners where he is very comfortable out there as well.
He's got one of those numbers that tells you he's got some talent.
If they ever go into nickel defense, he'll be the nickel back.
We'll drop him back. Cox. The snap was on the ground. He makes a pass out in the flat. Incomplete, looking for Massaquoi. Broken up by Leonard Love.
Love closed that distance greatly. A couple of interceptions for him already this year. He's already got an offer to attend Appalachian State, and they kind of like the way he plays on the right corner. And again, playing against Massaquoi, you've got to be on your toes to stay with him stride for stride, which he was on that play.
As good a matchup as he'll have all year against Massaquoi, one of the best receivers not only in the state but highly regarded. A lot of those recruiting websites, top 100 for what that's worth.
Ryan, if I'm a D1 recruiter, I just stay at Independence. I don't go much else.
You don't have to.
I just stay right there.
Cox lets her fly. Tipped incomplete to Ingram. He'll have a first down, so the clock will stop with a minute to go in the half. And I'll tell you this, Sam, when I was at practice in May, we were doing a special with these guys, and you'll see some of those interview cuts coming up at halftime talking about the streak. And there were 2 Division I, well-known, I don't think I'm allowed to say what school, but I'll say Big Ten SEC. Were there at practice.
And there are 3 or 4 others looking from the bushes somewhere.
And they were asking about Cook because he was at baseball practice. I mean, it's a revolving door. I'm sure the coaching staff has business cards from all around the country with these guys. Cox rolls right, looking for the corner of the end zone. Almost caught, but tipped and incomplete, and a flag comes out. Looking for Wiggins, and Marcus Gladden never turned around. Never saw the ball on that defensive play. And unlike the NFL, this would just be a 15-yard penalty. Actually, since they're inside the 30, it would be half the distance.
Let's watch this again. Cox has all the time to throw. Airs this out. As the ball goes upfield and into the end zone, look at Gladden. He's got his back totally turned to the line of scrimmage and pushing from there. Face guarding more or less, but again, he made the
half
contact.
The distance to the goal. First down.
Yeah, you got to give the receiver the opportunity to come back to the football. And like we said, Gladden never turned and never saw it.
You know, he turns his head just once and picks up the ball.
Yep.
A, he might have an intercept. B, he might have got away with it.
Yep. I don't think it's a penalty if he's turned around. But that's the other thing about this offense. Sometimes the only way to stop them from scoring is to commit a penalty.
And 43 seconds for them is like all day.
Another flag on the line of scrimmage, so either offsides or encroachment here.
Offside on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
And one thing we saw in our game last week at Monroe High School, the new rule in college and high school is you can name the player now. The officials can name the player if they're up to speed on that. The guy we had last week did, and I've seen it in the college games. They'll name the player who commits the penalty. I don't really like that at the high school level. I don't think it's necessarily fair to point out guys. Maybe at the college level, Cox, the ball hits the turf, but he falls on it at the 10-yard line. And now it looks like the Patriots will take a timeout to stop the clock with 37 seconds left. One of the rare miscues, an interception, a couple of fumbles, but they've recovered all of their fumbles. And other than that, Independence has been very successful today, averaging 8 yards of play, 252 yards of total offense here in the first half already.
You know, I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen that earlier because Brandon Silvius is the new center tonight again with Jared Oliver out of there with a upper back problem. But you take a look at Cox, how many times he's been under score? Probably half a dozen, 8 times. It's mostly out of the shotgun, but when he gets under there, that's such a nice timing play as well. Talked to Oliver before the game, a senior, and he said, I hate missing this game. Trust me, I hate it with a passion. But he said, I'll be back. Doctors have cleared him to play next week.
And speaking of next week, triple header action for you here on Time Warner Cable Sports. We've got Crest versus South Point. That's the 3AA champ against the 3A champ. Should be a good one. Battle for that area of the state. Concord versus Kannapolis, the Bell game, say no more. Anson versus Richmond, 2 counties that have but one high school and a rivalry of Highway 74 proportions. That comes your way next week. We're at Crest, we're at Concord, and we're at Richmond. Wall-to-wall football. Cox lets her fly, complete. Radon Ingram, touchdown. It's just too easy. It just looks too easy.
Well, that time it was Leonard Love who was a corner release to the safety. The safety didn't pick it up, and an easy curl right at the goal line, and Ingram has an easy 6 points here. Again, after Cox releases, you see Love had already released him there to the inside, and then Ingram continued that flow to the inside and didn't get the help he needed right at the goal line.
Used his body as a shield and made it easy for Cox to lay it in there for him. The extra point from Brad Barnhouse. One has been blocked today, but not this one. 33-0.
Got a look from behind here by Cox. You see a pretty good rush coming right up the middle, but see how well they contain it. Kind of a wobbly pass, but again, Ingram had already made his cut as Love had released inside and didn't get the help that he needed, and Ingram with a nice catch at the goal line. And again, after getting 2 last week, gets another one here tonight.
34-0 with the extra point being good, and Cox laid it down low so they couldn't be picked off. Yep. I mean,
well, it doesn't get any prettier than that, does it, right?
The skyline of Charlotte. We're in early September. By the time you see this, the Panthers have played their home Monday night game, and the city ought to be rocking all week. Speaking of big games, we mentioned we have 3 next week. Carlton Bailey joins the fray with us next week at Crest. We will see Sam again in a couple of weeks.
By the way, there's no truth to the rumor that Carlton would like to get the pads back on again. He said, no, I'll just stay up in the booth with you. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
He adds the coach perspective as well, having been a head coach at South Meck in the city of Charlotte. So interested to find out how the transition from player to coach goes, but then to take a look at a high school field from an announcer standpoint, from an analyst standpoint, how his mind has been altered since the coaching stint at South Meck. 30 seconds left in the half, and the Bulldogs will return the kick all the way out to the 23-yard line, returned by Hano, or rather number 2, Xavier Wallace. And Butler's 2-minute offense has been shrunk to 27 seconds, and they have 76 yards to cover.
You know, we were interested to see Wallace, how he was going to play tonight. He attended the summer camp at the University of Michigan this summer, picking up some new techniques, has a great speed. They went to him early, you remember, but again, have not been able to have time to get the ball out to him tonight.
Yeah, that's been the problem. The blitz has forced Rawls to let the ball go quickly. Here's Houston. Gain of about 4 to the 28-yard line.
Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but that may be about the first play in maybe 8 or 9 plays here. Oh, that's bad news for Houston down. And the fact that they've gone tackle to tackle with Houston, they try to get him a little wider, and this does not look good.
The absolute last thing Butler wanted to see was this guy go down.
Just a sophomore. We were expecting great things tonight, and he's yeomanly trying to run against this Independence team, but that does not look good.
6'2", 240. It's no wonder why he's hard to bring down. He's such a big load. Asking to be helped up. Too early in the game for cramps. Just hope he tweaked it just a hair and could get back on the field. In about 15 seconds, he'll have halftime to rest up.
You know, Ryan, both these coaches catching him on the telephone on their very busy schedule, and I was interested that Bill over at Independence, I said I could lose about 15 minutes of your time, but 45 minutes later we stopped talking football. He's, I talk all night, and I said, I know it. I did the same thing with Mike. I caught up with him on Wednesday. We pushed it off to Thursday, and then finally caught up a little bit this morning as well. And I said, I'm going to take 15 minutes because I know you're on a dead run, and again, another 35 minutes later, we're still talking football. And you made a great point on the start of the game is, again, Houston off the field, hopefully nothing more serious than just a little tweak of the knee, that a rivalry has one team winning one year and another team winning the other year. He said, we first have to beat Independence for this to be any kind of rivalry. But he said, I'd love for it to develop into one.
Well, they started the clock back after the injury, so Butler never got another snap off. And we've arrived at the half. And coming up at the half, we'll take a look at the streak. What it means, how far can it go? But right now, it is going. 34-0. Independence is rolling on their way to 64 in a row, and it could continue. More from Memorial Stadium coming up. 34-0 at the half. 34-0 Independence at the half. The Alliteration Boys, Ryan Rhodes and Sam Smith from Memorial Stadium in Charlotte. And Butler didn't come out with the fire we thought they might, and were just outmanned up front, and the numbers tell the tale, Sam.
Anytime you can put 262 yards together in any football game, you've had a good night. Independence done it in the first half of the game. 3 turnovers on the other side for Butler has certainly cost them, but again, more than anything, I think it's the intensity that Butler had just taken away from them by the way Independence played a defense and certainly played their offense the way they always do by putting those big numbers up. And Joe Cox has been just Joe Cox. What can we say about him tonight?
He really has. A bevy of touchdown passes. He's rushed for 138 yards. As we look at the skyline from Memorial Stadium from one end zone, the beautiful shots here on Time Warner Cable Sports. Lindsey in the first half, 13 carries, 114 yards, just a hair under 9 yards per. You see Coach Bill Geiler of Independence, always quick to point out that there are 7 guys in charge, not just him. He doesn't really have an ego about this whole head coach thing. And it's a great way to run a staff. And when the autonomy is put in the hands of the guys that help make the decisions, on one hand, you could say too many witches spoil the brew, but it doesn't work that way for Independence. They all contribute, all the coaches make calls, and Geiler just the one that the papers say won or lost the game, but really it's won or lost on the field with these guys. And they're so well coached, they're so well organized, I hate to gloss and glow over them, but it's 34-0, and
Yep.
this is something that they do on a weekly basis, on a yearly basis, it seems. Butler will kick it off and give it back to this potent offense, and flags fly and whistles blow because the Patriots, or rather the Bulldogs, were offside. So
Trouble start early here for the Bulldogs in the second half.
well, if they don't see enough yellow from the helmets and the pants, they're seeing it from the officials. Let's take a look at the touch pass that Cox threw to Massaquoi. Actually, this is the one to Ingram on the slant.
And again, that was just one of the 3 touchdown passes he threw. As Ingram gets 1, he had 2 last week, and again, already 2 tonight to Massaquoi, who has a total of 6. He caught 23 all last year, over 1,500 yards. What a great start in a couple of games with 6 T's from Cox already.
8 last week, 3 more this week. We're going to be talking about the record by the next time we see them. We'll see them twice more. 3 times more, actually. Big flag flies in from midfield. Wiggins on the return. More flags fly. So much yellow out there. It's like an extra player for Independence right now. As we mentioned, Wiggins gets all the way up close to midfield. But I don't think that's where they'll start.
It looked like laundry day out there for a moment. They were hanging them out on either side of the football field. And another great run back, though, kind of using the blocks. But were they legal, I guess, is the key here.
Our official will tell us. Butler's 6 penalties for 46 yards in the first half. Independence just 2 penalties, but the big ones for 25 yards. Pick your poison there.
Yep.
Holding an illegal and an illegal block. So which one will count? We don't know. We do know the Patriots will start on the 25-yard line.
Unfortunately for Butler, they only can take 1.
There are 2 fouls on a penalty. Blocking the back on the return team. That penalty is declined. Holding, is that first down?
Holding is enforced, so the Patriots will start the 25-yard line. So credit the return to the 35 and back 10 yards, and here we go. Cox under center once again. Quick handoff, and here's Lindsey again. In open field, and he's finally tackled by Kevin Glass. But a first down carry for a first down, and Lindsey's right back where he left off.
You know, Lindsey gained over 1,800 yards last year on the rush. Had 14 carries and 94 yards last week against East Mac. Did not score in that game, and of course is trying to make up for that tonight. But he runs with such ease and such, what he does, he keeps his weight right over his hips. And the legs, of course, may be flying out, but he still keeps that upper body weight right over the hips, and he's able to move one way or the other very easily.
When you hit him, he still has that center of gravity under him, so he can keep going. Pass out of the backfield to Lindsey, trying to reach the corner. He'll get about 2 yards before he's ridden out of bounds by Jamal Wilson and Drew Adams. And you mentioned earlier, Sam, about Adams' speed at the linebacker. He got out there quickly and cut off the corner.
Adams again with that great speed, as he can not only play the linebacker, but as I said, plays the nickelback when they go into the nickel. You know, I was amazed to look at that 8 touchdowns by Joe Cox last week, and Bill will testify that he's seen some good ones. And Chris Leak, the last to touch 8 touchdown passes in 02. Corey Holt for Lexington in 01, and way back in 66, it was Ricky Lanier of Williamston Hayes that threw 8 touchdowns in a single game for the record.
Cox will let her fly, going for the long ball, the home run ball, if you will, and he overthrew Massaquoi. Coverage on the play by Jamal Wilson, but the ball was about 3 yards past Massaquoi, and with speed like that, that's a tough pass to make, but these guys have been doing it for a long time.
And you know, one of the nice things about a receiver like that, Coach Gatto was telling us, he tries to catch everything. And in this case, he looked up and that ball was going to be well overthrown. But look at the end of the play. He is still sprinting to try to get to the ball. He truly is one of the receivers a quarterback has got to love.
Makes it easy, especially when you've got guys like Wiggins and Ingram on the other side. You can throw the deep ball, and you know he's going to get just single coverage back there.
And he's a big kid as well, about 6'3", so he can go up in a crowd.
And he can fly. Cox will let her fly as well. This one almost intercepted. Knocked down by Leonard Love, intended for Massaquoi. Taking a look at this streak, how many 60-point games has Independence put together last year? Central Cabarrus, North Mac, 60 points. As we take a look at the replay, Harding last year, 69-6. 67-14 at Myers Park, 61-6 over Central, 60-0 Myers Park. Go back all the way to the 2000 season, 65-14, 76-40 against Anson. They've been rolling it up for a while now, and those were the Chris Leak teams.
69 last week with the Joe Cox team, maybe.
Finally, a punt by Independence. This one bounces around the 26-yard line and picked up by Xavier Wallace. He slips some tackles and gets out, but finally brought down quickly by number 11 for the Patriots on the coverage.
Brandon
McClain, yes.
Tell you what, that was a arm tackle, or Mr. Wallace has gone to the races on that one.
Absolutely.
Well, that's interesting that Independence, their first kick, and again, Cook not getting that poor a kick, but one of the things about it, it got back there very quickly, and Wallace had some open field running, and again got a block. You see how well they were crack backing pretty good there, but there's that tackle. You did have Cook closing to possibly the second man to get a shot at him.
Pete Kilacerto under center now, and they'll hand off to the man in the backfield. That's Xavier Wallace. He'll slip up the middle of the field across the 40 to the 41-yard line. So Kilacerto in there, quarterback, one of the a little better at the option, a little better on his feet from a running standpoint. They like the arm of Rawls, and it's going to be a back and forth thing all year long with these two quarterbacks. Coach Newsom said he's comfortable with either one.
By the way, it's good to see from the Butler side that Ryan Houston, the young man that was injured, now over on the sidelines, but again, he's had his problems getting up off the ground tonight.
Pitch back, Wallace again, left side. His lead blocker, they've got a fullback in there. That's Houston, number 32. Blocking for him.
You can see really limping on that leg, Brian.
Yeah, he's a little ginger on that thing.
Watch the way he's leading this right now. See him kind of hobbling just a little bit on the outside. Wallace is looking for that block right there. Tried to cut back, but the great pursuit by by Independence, and they really, the linebackers, they want the linebackers to make a lot of plays, and they do if the front line does what they do so well, and that's turning it back inside.
Saw the defensive end there, Bradley Davis, got bumped off, but the linebackers are right there, a few yards deep. Third down. Call it a long 6. Fake the handoff. Kilacerto still has it on the option. Pitch out, and it's stopped quickly. Nate Williams is shoved backwards. Big hit laid on. A couple guys on the play. Brandon McClain again, and also Marcus McClain, 97, there to make the tackles.
I tell you what, as you take a look at this pitch at the last moment here on that inside belly fake to the outside, and again this pitch, look how close that is to being right in the waiting arms of Independence, but again, yet they're just in time and out of bounds.
Coach Newsom trying everything at this point. Went to the option. That didn't work either. And the punt is away. Ingram takes it off his shoulder pads at the 28-yard line. A seam, but it's closed quickly, and a tackle made by Robert Rooks. But once Ingram and anybody back there returning gets a full head of steam, they become that much more difficult to bring down. And again, great starting field position at the 43.
And again, as that kick goes off, watch Robert Rooks at the end of this play. This is a great special teams player. He's a senior and tries to play as much as he can, but again, relegated to doing what he can on special teams. And even though the Ingram gets a good run up the field, watch him close in a hurry. And a sure tackle by Rooks for Butler to make that stop on a very elusive runner.
Good wrap up. Here's Lindsey. He moves the pile forward across the 45 to the 46-yard line. Tackled by the interior lineman on the play for Butler. We're talking about Dominique Williams and Chris Mickno. The nose guard and defensive tackle. Give him about 3. It'll be 2nd and 7.
Well, that special teams play of Rooks has apparently earned him some additional play time as he's in there right now defensively for Butler, playing the down lineman on the left-hand side. He's playing the defensive left tackle.
One man in the backfield, Ilson Davis in motion from right to left. Cox delay handoff, Lindsey. Stutter steps, picks his hole, and is driven back quickly. There's your guy again, Robert Rooks, making a good tackle. Gain of only about 2. It'll be 3rd down and a long 3, maybe 4 yards, just a yard shy of midfield for the Patriots.
You know, Rooks is sneaky. He's lined up as a defensive left tackle and quickly jumped to the middle linebacker spot, and that's where he filled the middle and makes this stop. Again, Lindsey, there's those shifty moves, but Rooks was not fake, didn't take any of them, and finally comes down with a tackle. Very good play up the middle. And that's what Butler has to do. If they're going to run the ball on you, you just have to stay at home. Try to fend off the blocks as well you can against that big front line of Independence.
Steve Shaughnessy, defensive coordinator at the walkthroughs yesterday, Thursday, where they were doing a lot of coverage disguising. Pass out in the flats to Wiggins. He'll get close to the first down. He needs the 47-yard line, and he's going to be almost on it.
This is probably where Independence, with that, I won't call it a poor kicking game. I'll just call it a game that has not been well tested over the years. This is 9 times out of 10 the way their defense play. These are the plays you just go ahead and go for, I think, with Independence.
I think they're going to measure, and if it's not a first down, judging from the naked eye, or even my 10 times zoom of my naked eye, it looks like it'll be within about a chain link. It's going to be very close.
Now, this is a family show. Keep it over there. Watch those naked eyes. By the way, where are you going to be next week, Ryan?
Carlton Bailey and I will be out at Crest. We've got South Point and Crest. 3 big games next week across for the fans watching. It is just short. I mean, 2 chain links. And here are the games we have next week.
Hey, they don't like each other, do they? Crest and South Point?
No. Crest and South Point take to the field once again. The battle of state champions, 3A versus 3AA. And you want to talk about a backyard brawl, Concord versus Kannapolis, the state's oldest rivalry, the Bell game. It'll be Woody Kane and Soupy Campbell, or rather Randy Whitley and Soupy Campbell. Anson at Richmond. Woody Kane and Ernest Watts will be out at Raider Stadium.
And the Patriots will go for it here on 4th.
While they have stopped for a moment, these are Cox's numbers, 10 of 18, 144 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception, 2 chain links for a first down.
He won't hand this off, I don't think. Nope. Not that short. I tell you what, that didn't get it by much.
They'll get the ball, the nose of the ball over the 47, so that'll be good enough for the first down. They spotted him about a foot, and they only needed 3 inches. So a first down for Cox on that potent offense.
Silvius, along with number 61 playing at the left guard spot, Willie Simmons, really kind of doing a job. They almost looked like they just locked at the shoulder pads, and Cox just kind of bellied right in behind him and got the yardage.
You know what's scary about Independence, though? On a 4th down and 1, I've seen them throw a 40-yard pass.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they have the potential to do that each and every down. Cox from the shotgun. Checks down, passes it, and it's complete to his short receiver, Billy Wiggins. Gain of about 4. Put the ball up at the 42-yard line. He didn't have to throw the home run ball every time to be successful.
Well, it sets up the home run ball when you throw it underneath like that. And the nice thing about Cox, when you watch him throw the football, yes, he is a drop back passer, but he has such quick feet. Once he makes his decision to roll out, hopefully mostly to his right where he throws so much better, he's got, again, that good body control. Watch out of the shotgun. Good snap. He's looking over the middle. Nothing there. Now, see how quickly he made that first acceleration step, and he throws right on rhythm right to his receiver. He can throw the football and throws it very well, nearly 4,000 yards last year.
Quick timeout for Independence, and we'll step aside as well. More from Memorial Stadium in just a moment. The Patriots are rolling here, 34-0 on Time Warner.
Top of the TV in the living room. Go back, get the cable box, got the cable box, got the cord, and I didn't have it hooked in right. 2 remotes, 2 TVs, football game, boxing. And the dog's looking at me like I'm crazy.
The new DVR from Time Warner Cable. Watch 2 shows at the same time with picture-in-picture. Now, anything's possible.
Y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Get the new DVR for as little as $6.95 a month. Call Time Warner Cable today.
2nd down and 5 from Memorial Stadium. The Patriots on top, 34-0. Here's Cox out of the shotgun, just lets go of it, gets rid of it to avoid the sack. And there's another facet of his game. Ryan Rhodes with Sam Smith. Carlton Bailey joins us in the booth. Former NFL. He's a veteran of several teams and been in some Super Bowls. And he's actually also coached at the high school level at South Mex. So another perspective that we fold into the mix. And Carlton, it's good to see you up here.
Good to see you as well.
Thanks for coming out with us. I know you'll be with us next week, South Point at Crest, but you get a chance to look, and I'm sure you saw part of this Independence team when you were in Charlotte at South Mex, but how well coached, how well disciplined is a team like this. They don't make mistakes. One interception, the really only mistake today, but what a well-oiled machine that offense is.
I tell you what, they come out, they execute extremely well. They run a lot of trips formation, throwing the ball that way, motion the ball, motioning the guy to the other side, run into the motion and so forth. The coaches do an outstanding job as far as coaching these kids and teaching them the basic fundamentals and techniques.
And up front, that offensive line, man, they give Cox and Lindsey all day to pick their holes, their spots, and then you want to talk about defense. They're shutting Butler down there, too. It doesn't look like they have a weakness right now.
Exactly. You can tell that team comes out. They come here prepared to play a good physical football game. I thought Butler, at the offset of the game, did a good job at running the football up inside, and somehow or another they got into these outside running plays that really ended up causing some played into Independence hands.
Independence takes a quick timeout, and as a coach, let's assume that you have any XYZ team in Charlotte and you had to go play Independence next week. Where do you attack them? What's their weak spot? I mean, how do you defend against them? Now, obviously, you're going to have to play a man up because you can't double team anybody. Where would you attack Independence?
He moves to the mountains is what he really does.
Well, I guess probably the biggest thing is just having the opportunity, a chance to maybe try to press their wide receivers a little bit. If I was a coach and I had some good cornerbacks, maybe try to press their wide receivers a little bit, bring 8 guys down in the box, bring that strong safety down, and of course teach the guys up front just to get penetration and movement. The running back does an outstanding job as far as he has that wiggle, that swagger that it takes to be able to take it to the next level. I believe I heard you guys talk about he's averaging about 8 or 9 yards a carry. Great vision, and they do a great job as far as moving the defensive lineman out the way. So bringing 8 guys down in the box, playing a little bit tighter up and looking to press the wide receivers.
And now, as a defensive guy, let's take a look at this play on the screen pass. They dump it underneath. This is Bradley Davis, the tight end, and look at him ball through guys.
Oh my.
Man, he's like a defensive lineman bowling through guys, and he's got the football. And I was going to ask you about their linebacker play. I mean, Independence fills gaps and closes things up so quickly. Houston got off to a start early as we take a look at this replay and watch Davis get out in the open field. Talk to me about what you saw from the Independence defense and the way their front 7 plays tonight.
Actually, I went and watching them, their defensive line do a good job as far as getting movement up inside. Their linebackers are quick, but every now and then you'll see them gambling on their blitzes, running inside, trying to run backdoor. The problem with running on the backside of the play, if you make that play, it's a huge hit in the backfield. The announcer calls your names out. But 9 times out of 10, if you hit that hole and that guy has that second burst, and of course the running back for Independence has that second burst, then it's off to the races.
And we've seen a lot of that today. And I haven't seen a defense as aggressive as Independence at the high school level. The amount of blitzes that they're throwing, just about from anywhere else. Nobody blitzes as much as Coach Geiler, but he knows he's got the talent. Cox lets her fly. He was hit as he threw. That's probably the first hit tonight on Cox from that Butler defense with their backs to the wall in 34-0. And they haven't lost since September 1st, 2000.
Actually, 2 players for Butler have really rushed well, particularly from the corners. Chris McGowan, number 59, and Dominic Williams there. Those are the only 2 players who have been able to successfully, Carlton, get from the outside and rush. They almost make a nice stunt to the outside, and they're not able to pick them up, and they've gotten to Cox a couple of times now.
That last play looked like they had a little bit of what we would call the inside fire zone, where they twist those 2 inside linebackers, which obviously it causes some problems for the offensive lineman.
Cox gets it off to Wiggins. He slips inside the 10. He'll be very close to a first down. And a good block by your wide receiver, and that's that extra part of this offense that doesn't get talked about enough is downfield. The receiver who doesn't catch the pass, he'll go throw a block for you to bring you that extra 10, 20, 30, 60, 70 yards that these guys are able to pull off.
You know, talking to Mike Newsom, he talked about this man McGowan. He said he may be one of the best rushers off the corner, certainly in their particular district, but maybe one of the betters in high school football here in Charlotte. Particularly when he is a senior, trying to do his best in his senior year, but a very good rush man off the corner.
And Independence was credited with the first down, so at the 9-yard line, it's 1st and goal. Cox gives it to Lindsey, and there's a defensive lineman in the backfield to block for him, and he scores the touchdown. Big number 90, Devin Howard, who starts as a defensive lineman, was lined up at fullback to throw an extra block and kick that run out, and there you have it, another touchdown for this offense.
And another wrinkle again. Look at the block to the outside. Lindsey follows it nicely. And there's that great balance we talked about early in the game. Nice little soft cutback, and runs with such ease because he knows the job has been done out in front of him, Carlin.
Look like that defensive lineman looks like a little mini fridge out there lined up.
40-0 with the extra point coming from Barnhouse. It is right down Main Street. 4:19 left in the third. 40-0. 64 is the number of the night. Independence is rolling, keeping their consecutive win streak alive. 41-0. We'll be back in a moment. Butler is down 41-0. The Bulldogs have 75 total yards, which means Dominique Lindsey has outrushed the entire team tonight, and here's his last touchdown.
Well, we made mention that 90 Devin Howard, we'll call him the cooler, was up blocking for him. The fridge in the icebox have been taken. And again, that first little kick out block, and you saw how big that hole was for Lindsey. And again, a great night. You see the numbers on him, and this is going to be the way Dominique's going to go all year long, because if you get that kind of blocking at the point of attack, Carlton, you know, if you win the line of scrimmage, you're going to win a lot of football games.
That's exactly where the game is won. Is won right down there in the trenches. The guys line up, and it seems to me that Independence, they've made up their mind that they're going to be a physical football team. Sure, they can pass that football, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to lining up and playing physical, and the game is won in the trenches.
And in the newspapers, you read about the flash and the pizzazz, but underneath that is, like you say, the big boys up front that do the job and open up those big holes. And the reason why they're so successful, and this is an interesting
Free
transition.
kick out of bounds. The ball replaced at the 35-yard line. 1st down.
For the procedure penalty against Independence. Barnhouse kicking it out again as he did the first one of the day. And the Butler Bulldogs will start in the 35. This is an interesting transition from Knotts to Geiler. He will run a little bit more. He won't. Tom Knotts sometimes would just he wanted to throw over you, wanted to show you he could beat you with his passing game, and Coach Geiler will run a little bit more, and I think, Sam, we will see Lindsey get a lot more yards than he's used to, but you can't forget about the home run pass.
Well, and then that's what sets it up.
Offside on the defense, 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
And it's so nice to have those kind of wrinkles in your offense to be able to, I won't use the word lull you to sleep, but all of a sudden you get a little false sense of security if you stop him, which they have not tonight. All of a sudden, boom, you got those 4 receivers, which Cox has picked anyone tonight to throw the ball to, and they'll just burn you on the outside, particularly with breakaway speed. You made mention that they don't necessarily have to go for the home run ball, but if it's there, might as well go ahead and take it.
It's fun to give it a shot. And Houston is in the backfield by himself. Kiloserto to pass. The ball tipped at the line of scrimmage. Tipped away by number 99 for the Patriots, Darrell Smith. And he knocks the ball down. That'll quiet the offense there. And Houston, after being injured there early or late in the second quarter, really hadn't had but 1 carry the rest of this ball game. And when you're down 41-0, you're not going to be running the ball a whole lot at this point.
Carlton, you look at a drive sheet. This is the best that Butler's had on the possession of the football. At 2 at the 35, and the penalty gets it to the 40-yard line. You're going to have a tough night if you can't get it beyond your 40 on your first possessions.
Yes, it's going to be extremely difficult for them. First of all, you know, they need to go back to running that football, pounding it up inside. That's why they have a big bruising back like they have. And, of course, lining up and playing physical. That's what it really comes down to. I thought in the beginning it was outstanding. They kind of went to a little bit of that hurry-up offense. And when you start to do that, you start to get guys a little bit winded out there. And at the same time, you put that great defense that Independence has, you put them back on their heels.
By the way, number 24, Daryl Lincoln, I give him about, what, a 9-2 on the dive that he had over the top?
The German judge gives him a 9. Houston on the carry there on 2nd down. We'll have a 3rd down and about 3 for the Bulldogs at the 42-yard line. Houston in the backfield by himself. Kiloserto, the quarterback, on the fake handoff. Wriggles out of that sack. On the run, scrambling for his life, and he'll be taken out at the 36-yard line, so that'll be a sack.
That's what we end up calling a coverage sack.
Yep.
Nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go at all.
I tell you what, the corners in that particular, McLean along with Cook, both had them covered either side. The safeties kind of rolled up in the middle that time. Adams, a very good cover man, and Autry with those 2 interceptions last week had, as you said, everybody covered. Wasn't any place in a good back that time.
David Weber will kick it. His lineman. And there it goes. And Radon Ingram over there. Will he pick it up at the 29? No, he will not. He'll be down at the 28-yard line. And they're getting stretched out on the sidelines. Brandon McLean, who started at one corner for the Patriots tonight. Looks like he might be done. He's sitting on some ice.
To me, it looks like the guy is dehydrated. He's sitting on some ice. He's drinking some water. Normally, hydration for a player out there normally goes on. You should end up hydrating yourself probably on like a Wednesday or Thursday before the game. Of course, when you have opportunity, chance to play at this level, you're out there running, you're absorbing so much water. You need to put that water back in you.
Well, have it there in the reserves before you get out there. You're right. A lot of guys think they can just drink water during the game, and that's all there is to it. But not at this level, not with the level of exertion you're putting out there.
End up seeing so many younger players, they always want to pour it on the head. To me, it seems like you're just wasting it. You want to put that water inside you, stay well hydrated, and that way you can go out there for 4 quarters to perform at the level that you want to perform.
That'll be paramount in the National Football League, as big as you guys are and as much water as you lose during a football game.
Well, they keep us well hydrated. Trust me, every time you come into the sidelines, you're putting that water in you.
Lindsey on the right side goes, and the ball pops out, and Butler falls on it. Jamal Wilson falls on the football, and Butler finally gets a break and finally will start a possession in Patriots territory. Only got about 14 and a half minutes left in this game. A little too late, but you look for any break you can get. And there's your guy, Robert Rooks, forcing the fumble.
Rooks again, a special teams player, getting a chance to play middle linebacker tonight, and just putting a lid on it, knocks it free.
First down and 10 for the Bulldogs. A spark of life. Kilacerto from the shotgun pitches out and is nailed. This ball comes off the knee pad of the defender. Daniel Cook runs past it, and there's McAlooly that covered up. He already has a fumble return for touchdown, and he falls on it there at the 27-yard line. And this pretty much encapsulates the ball game, these last 2 plays. Butler gets a break and then gets forced a bad break against them.
Well, Kilacerto again made a pitch early in the game. As you see the pitch coming out, it's intended for Wallace, and it's just off his knee. And this is anybody's football now.
Daniel Cook slides past the bag. It pops out of...
You get a little better look at this pitch. Watch as he lets it go. Jessu's is in the waiting arm. Boom.
Ouch.
And it's just out in front of Wallace. He never really got that one under control at all.
Darryl Rankin, the linebacker. Don't your eyes light up as a linebacker? You're half a step from the quarterback, and he's about to pitch it. You know things are going to happen. Cox going for the home run ball. Incomplete. Off the turf. Radon Ingram couldn't bring it down. As we mentioned earlier, Sam, when you look at the fans of the Patriots, there isn't a student that goes to high school at Independence that has seen their football team lose a game.
Well, of course, Love on that cover that time, and a sophomore, T.J. Drakeford, number 12. They were trying to date Drakeford on the inside zone, and, of course, Love man for man outside. And as he turned inside, again, Drakeford got himself off balance and was going to the other direction. And Ingram just couldn't catch up with the ball.
The quarterback of the defense, middle linebacker Chris McAlooly, has already rumbled into the end zone with 1 touchdown and picks up that loose fumble. 2 fumble recoveries and even a score. So he's credited with 6 of the points on the board. And there's Lindsey breaking through the entire team across the 45 to the 49-yard line. Every player that touched him missed the tackle.
You know, he does not look as big as he is. He's 5'10", weighs about 195, which means he's got a lot of muscle mass. And once he gets to the line of scrimmage, Carlton, this is a guy that not only has the moves on you, but watch at the end. There's that little move, and now the strength takes over.
Exactly. This guy has a great low center of gravity, and the big thing I can tell you that I like about the players is the fact that he's really looking to take it to the end zone, and that's the type of running back you want. You want the type of guy that's going to go out there and give it to you 100% and keep plowing, and sure, he's not the type of back that's looking at the stats. He's just trying to put his team in the best position to add more points to the scoreboard.
His motor is always running. He doesn't give up.
And if he doesn't have the motor run, he's got a generator ready to kick in anytime, you know.
We have an injured Bulldog on the field. We'll get the number for you when we can. But Lindsey, so far, 173 yards. 41-0. We'll step aside. Be back in a moment.
Me being the inventive man that I am, grabbed the TV out of the bedroom, stacked it on top of the TV in the living room, go back, get the cable box, got the cable box, got the cord, and I didn't have it hooked in right. 2 remotes, 2 TVs, football game, boxing. And the dog's looking at me like I'm crazy.
The new DVR from Time Warner Cable. Watch 2 shows at the same time with picture-in-picture. Now, anything's possible.
Y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Get the new DVR for as little as $6.95 a month. Call Time Warner Cable today.
2:03 left in the third quarter, and the Butler Bulldog is being helped off the field. 41-0 Patriots, and we have 3 games to talk about next week. And we'll look at that in just a moment. Cox, the handoff, boom. And finally, someone's tackled in the backfield for Independence, and it wasn't Lindsey that time. It was Hennigan, but a big hit laid on the blitz. Drew Adams, the linebacker.
Well, we told you about his speed and how quickly he got off the snap there again with some excellent, and also showed some good strength, because once Hennigan hit him, it started going the other way, which shows that Adams not only had a full head of steam, but also good, strong contact, and he just throws the running back back. A lot of times, Carlton, you come in and make the contact. If a running back has any kind of momentum, he knocks you backwards. Not that time. Good play.
Exactly. The guy is well-taught, great fundamentals. Look like he's continued to fight, even though the battle looked like it might be over for this team.
He drove through the tackle. This pass almost picked off by Jamal Wilson, number 4. He already has a pick in this game. And let's take a look at the matchups next week. Carlton and I will be out at Crest. We've got the 3A champs in South Point against the 3AA champs in Crest. 2 teams that have had a lot of success in the last few years. And everyone, I think, in the entire region out there is geeked up for this game. We could see a slobber knocker. We could see snot bubbles in this one. I mean, we've got some big boys out that direction. We also got the Bell game and Anson Richmond. And I know, Carlton, you're getting psyched up yourself for this big game coming up next week. It's one of the big games on our schedule this season.
Exactly. That's the type of game you want to have an opportunity, a chance to do some announcing with. You know it's going to be a physical type of ball game. Both teams going to come out and they're going to leave it all out there on the field.
And they, even though they each won a state championship, they both want to prove something by saying we are the 3A entire champ by beating the other 3A champ from last year. It's almost as if it were that extra round of the playoffs that we're missing now with 8 champions.
Exactly. You know, they say competition brings out the best in all of us. So it will be a great game. We look forward to doing that on next week.
That comes your way next Friday. A couple of other good games. The state's oldest rivalry, the Bell game, Concord-Kannapolis. That'll be at Bailey Stadium in Concord, I believe. This punt by Daniel Cook will be down inside the 20. It keeps rolling and rolling and rolling down there. And then the Battle of Highway 74 out at Raider Stadium as the Anson Bearcats roll into Richmond. What used to be a Southeastern matchup. A big game out there as well. Those 2 communities. I remember a couple of years ago I was speaking at one of the elementary schools in Anson. Even the elementary school teachers had on the blue and orange. They had the ribbons. The little kids had the Anson jerseys on. When you got one high school in the county, it trickles down all the way to the kindergartners, the first grade, second. It's amazing the community support in those counties. In Richmond's the green and gold everywhere you look during the week of a big game. Down carry across the middle. Kilacerto is still in there.
He's trying his best to open up on the inside, and it's a little frustrating. You got that kind of a running back. Your tackles are telling themselves, tackle to tackle, we've got to do our job. You're doing your best, and it just is not enough against Independence.
It makes it extremely difficult for that offensive line. Right now, Independence know that they're pressing the outside linebackers they're pressing the wide receivers, man-to-man coverage. They're bringing 8 guys down in the box. They're forcing them to do exactly what they want them to do.
Carlton, we appreciate joining us up here in the booth. The third quarter is over, and we will catch you at Crest next week, taking on South Point.
Thanks for having me, and I look forward to working with you and seeing you next week.
Thanks,
All right.
Carlton.
All right.
Carlton Bailey joining us in the booth here. We're at the end of the third quarter, 41-0 Patriots. 1-0 Patriots as we start the fourth quarter of action, and expect to see some different numbers and names to call out. And this is how Independence keeps it rolling with guys who have experience. Hit in the backfield was Kilicerto. He was leveled by Daryl Smith, number 99, causing that pass to sail on him.
And that's that sophomore that they say once he learns the game is going to be a tough customer. 5'10", 200-pounder, and again, a couple of sacks against East Mex, so he knows the unknown territory, so to speak, even as a sophomore.
Never saw him coming.
Never saw it at all. Boom. Did get the pass off, not a sack, but a rush that time by Kilicerto.
And Kilicerto will know he's coming next time. That serves a purpose.
Nothing hurts worse than those backside hits. Don't ever see him.
Kilicerto under center with Houston in the backfield. Linebacker blitz. This pass bounces off of Pano's shoulder pads. If he was behind the play, this ball is live. They say no, incomplete. And Kilicerto comes up a little gimpy on his leg. He was popped in the shin.
Player rolled right into him. I thought that was going to be more severe than it was. He popped right up, though. Good look. Well, that's that defensive Independence. They have done it all night long. I think Carlton pointed that you press from the outside, and what it does, it funnels everything back to you. And now, of course, Butler has to kick, but again, they were just trying to find anything that works against the Patriots.
Weber to kick. And I believe there's a timeout on the field. Yes, the Bulldogs took a timeout.
10 men on the field.
Missing a guy, and that will happen later in the game when players are starting to get tired, injured, calling for subs. The backups start to come in. Again, as I mentioned, when you win this many games and you get this kind of lead, you can put the juniors and sophomores in there. That gets them that game experience so that next year they're not new to the system, and that's one explanation of how you can keep this thing rolling this long.
You know, you made mention of how many times we went over 60 in this streak. Well, how many times they do the 50s, 40s, and are winning by 30 or 40 points. And eventually, you're going to get more experience on the bench for Independence than you normally as a starter on a lot of teams because, you know, you're not on the field the whole night. This team, the defense, is not necessarily out there very long, but the offense plays forever, it seems.
They can possess the ball, no doubt. But they're too deep at every position, so even those guys get in on rest breaks for the other players.
I'm counting them maybe 3 or 4 deep down on that bench.
Good Lord. Kick is away. Deep back to receive. Massaquoi and Ingram let it go right between them, and it takes a huge bounce and will be down at the 30-yard line. A 53-yard punt, no return.
Well, if there's an MVP for Butler tonight, it's got to be Weber. He's done his best to try to keep the Patriots in bad position, but hasn't worked too many times. But that's a beautiful punt. Nice thing about it was a nice little turnover spiral and took a perfect bounce.
The 7th punt of the night. Let's take a look at the Mecca 8 conference standings. You've got North Mac, Harding, and West Mac all undefeated so far, so the road isn't all a bed of roses for Independence. They're 1-0 with their one game played. Vance, Hopewell, West Charlotte, Central Cabarrus winless so far. And we'll have Independence taking on Central. We'll have them taking on North Mac later in the year, and Vance to close out the season. So 3 more, and a late flag flies in on the play as Hennigan takes it up to the 43-yard line.
This is an interesting scenario now. You would think, of course, of Ingram being a guy that catches the ball. He runs around, does a lot of things. How about slides in as the backup quarterback, where he is right now, and replace Cox here in the lineup in the fourth quarter. But
personal foul, unnecessary roughness against the defense. 15 yards, first down.
Very understanding player in the fact that he knows this offense very well and runs it very well as the quarterback. And there he is.
Last year, during the first and second quarters, Coach Knotts would put him in option situations just to mix things up. But there's no need in getting Cox hurt at this point.
No. And, of course, Cox didn't play at all in the fourth quarter last week as well, so he had 8 touchdown passes through 3 quarters.
Yikes. So Ingram hands off. Hennigan again left side and is taken down at the line of scrimmage. Quick tackle there for Butler for Kevin Glass, the defensive lineman. You get a good look at Hennigan, who should get quite a few carries this season. Just a junior, and they'll be grooming him for the starting job next year, you would think, with Lindsey graduating.
Not sure how many times Lindsey would carry during a football game, but again, the way he can break it so much, he has so many long sprints that you need just that one guy to come in for a play or two. And if he is adequate enough to make some damage go the other way, you're in a home run situation.
And you know there are going to be openings up among the offensive line from the way they play. Ingram on the quarterback keeper will drive it across the 40-yard line. Still in Butler territory. They'll spot it at the 39, so they'll need about 6 yards on third down.
Willie Simmons, number 61, was leading the attack as again Joe Cox on the sideline with his congratulations to his teammates to help him put these numbers together. But number 61 is the left tackle, and he was all the way from one side of the football field to the other, blocking out in front of his quarterback. Shows you the quickness of the big guys up front for Independence.
And how well coached they are. They get out there. Ingram again will keep it. He'll have the first down inside the 30. Tackle made by Jamal Wilson, but not before Ingram can slide across the 30-yard line to the 29 for another first down for the Patriots.
I think I noticed on the last play, number 25 is Damon Washington, and also number 18 in there is a wide receiver, Roger Weathers. They stood and watched Ingram run. You may recall I talked about the wide receivers, how well they blocked with that first team. Those two guys kind of stood and waited for Ingram to make a move before they went for the block. It's not what you've got to do. Those number one receivers make the block first.
And a team as good as this, they'll correct that in practice this week when they watch film. Ingram again, he'll go up the middle. Shoestring tackle made by Kevin Glass. So, Sam, your first live action taste of the Patriots after 64 in a row. This is better than some small colleges around here.
It is indeed, and I was in awe last year how well they played and how they dominated. I think that's the whole key. Every team came in with that dream of upsetting them. It just didn't happen. And now for them to come out and have the dominating first game and then come in, and they played a Butler club that had high hopes and played very well in their first two games. They have done a marvelous job, and 64 in a row, best in the country, unbelievable. And it all shed some more light on Charlotte.
Hennigan to the right side. He'll drag three guys inside the 15-yard line for another Independence first down. Well, there's a flag on the field at the 25-yard line. It is an illegal block against the Patriots, so this one will come back. But we're kind of looking ahead. I know coaches don't like to do it, but we in the media don't mind taking a look ahead. And by the time we see them take on North Meck or even Vance at the end of the season, you may be talking about 70.
On the offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
70 in a row, and if they get all the way to the state championship game, that'll be their 15th game of the year. You're talking about 77 by the end of the season.
Well, somewhere along the way, a little problem for Independence after this great run by Hennigan. And again, you can see some linemen down there trying to do what they can on the inside, particularly number 79. That's Napoleon White, one of the big linemen downfield, blocking again. And here goes Hennigan.
Ingram hands off to Hennigan again, and he'll get back about all 10 yards from the penalty and put it down about the 22-yard line.
Was that a replay or was that a
Yeah, I was going to say,
same
second
play,
verse, same as the first again. Reuse the line.
Without the holding mistake they made.
Exactly. This one will